Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy Does It, a podcast created specifically for the amazing members of the MJ team. Rob and I are back with you again, excited for another great episode. Today, we are going to be talking about human needs. We have maybe kind of alluded to these or thrown them out there in passing when we've been talking about other topics. But today we're going to dive in, not wants, but needs, which I think is just really interesting.
Yeah,
that all of us
really ties into human behavior and all that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And I think it's a good connection, too, to last episode, because I think when you kind of look at what our needs are, where are you focusing your time and energy, what needs, then maybe that can also help with what you want to get out of 2026 or who you want to become. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, before we get into all that, I believe that I was tasked with bringing the Would You Rather this week.
And, you know, I probably should have done the intro because this is a whole switcheroo here.
I know how
I don't know if I can do it like you. I can't.
Yeah. I think I actually messed up a word there at the beginning.
Did you? Mm-hmm. I have to start
the amazing members. I don't know. Something went awry there. It felt a little weird. But I think you're going to regret asking me to do this.
Good.
Okay. Are you ready? I have two, but we'll start with my favorite. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather have to sing Bootylicious by Destiny's Child every time you meet someone new, or have to dance on the spot every time you speak in a meeting?
Okay, I have questions. Do I have to sing the whole song?
Just the chorus.
Okay. And then if I'm dancing, is it just as I start, like I'll just dance for a second and then
I don't think
continue?
What you just did qualifies.
Well, I'm just saying, like, this is like the shorthand version of the dance.
I don't think you have to dance
The whole time I'm talking?
No.
I think I would pick the dance one.
That's what I thought you would.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
It would just spice up a meeting real quick.
I know.
I'd love to see, like, man, so many people I'd love to see do that. Alan Smith right at the start of a meeting. Brandon. We do have video footage of Brandon dancing. I'll see if we can maybe link that in the bio.
Yep.
He's in the back of the room doing his thing. It's probably on YouTube. I think it is.
Yes.
I would like to see that again.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, I would pick the dancing one. I'll take that.
That's what I figured you would pick.
And you would pick the same.
Of course.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. I just wanted to say Bootylicious, I think. And I do think that would be hysterical.
I didn't regret this one.
You didn't regret it? Okay, let me ask you my second one then.
Okay.
What shoe would you rather wear every day for the rest of your life?
Crocs.
Pink Ugg boots.
Ooh.
Or pink Crocs? Oh my gosh.
I have spoken.
Yeah, I would choose pink Crocs too. My feet would sweat so bad in Ugg boots all the time. I couldn't even.
Yeah, summertime. I mean, even right now, if you wore, do you wear socks with Uggs? Are you supposed to?
I don't know.
I know it's like maybe kind of a sin to wear socks with Crocs, but maybe not. Jack does it all the time.
Yeah. I think all rules are off now with kids and Crocs.
Would you believe that I don't own a pair of Crocs?
Me either.
I think I would like to. There's two pairs of shoes that I would like to own. Number one, I would like to own some Crocs. I think they're just cool. And I would be the guy, I would be the adult with the Croc emblems that you can like stick in there. What are those called?
Oh.
Figurine things you can poke in there. I'd put some stuff in there. Number two are Hey Dudes. The amount of fellas around the office that wear Hey Dudes, and I'm like, man, they look comfortable. Let me just tell you guys a quick story. One of the gentlemen was wearing some, and I was like, man, those look really comfortable. And he's like, dude, they're super comfortable. I'm like, I'm thinking about getting me a pair at some point. My wife has told me, like, you're never going to own that. And Crocs, you're never going to own those. Jack can wear them, not you. And I'm like, I will defy you. But on the other side, this gentleman was like, here. Then he takes it off, and it was like, try it on. You know, it's almost like anything else, like somebody takes their underwear off and like, you want to try this? It was moist. It was hot. But I felt disrespectful to say like, no, I'm not putting your shoe on, bro. I don't want to do that. But I did. And it was exactly what you would think it would be like, putting on somebody's underwear. Mind you, I've never done that. I've never done the underwear, but I have put on someone else's shoe, fresh shoe. It's like sitting on a toilet seat right after someone. Yeah. That's what I can compare it to. So
I can't
Story time. Story time with Rob.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is something that I did not know about you, that you want Crocs, but you've never been able to fulfill that dream.
It'll happen one day, and I will wear them here. Maybe that'll be my new thing. I'll have some Crocs, and I'll put my little logos, and maybe you guys can figure out what the new little, I don't know what those things are called, but the little Croc
They do have a name for them.
Decorations or whatever.
I want to say widgets, but that's not right.
Yeah, widget sounds good to me.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know, some people just use Crocs as like their house shoes.
Yeah.
Would Susie be okay with that?
We don't really wear shoes in the house.
Oh.
Because I know I'd wear them outside and then wear them back in. And so she has house slippers that she has worn for a hot minute. And they look really comfortable. They're kind of like zigzag patterns so her little toes hang out. And then she'll like take them to the like hotels and stuff. But now that I'm saying that out loud, I don't know how I feel about that being back in the house. But they're there. And she's had those for many a year. And they look comfortable. But she'll wear them, throw trash away. I need some house slippers.
You do.
Yeah.
And maybe those are the Crocs.
Or the pink Uggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what we take away from this is the questions that I'm going to ask you are probably don't require as much thought as the ones you asked me.
I like these. These were good. You need to keep rolling. And then I'll start doing the intro. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, you have to do it in my voice. Because I would love to hear.
She's spoken. She has
I'd love to hear what you think that sounds like. Oh, boy. Okay, well, no bootylicious from Rob. He's just going to dance. Somebody hold him to that at the next meeting. Okay.
We'll see who's out there listening. Right. Rob, you're supposed to dance.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so today we are talking about human needs. And I got this idea, shot this over to Rob. Funny enough, he had already talked about this in previous things that you've done. So I'll start, I guess, with Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast, Diary of a CEO. I love that podcast. He was speaking with Tony Robbins, and he brought up these human needs that all of us have. He has 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. And so obviously I had heard of human needs before. Number 1, because guess who else talks about human needs and human nature?
Brené Brown.
That's a good guess. Closer to home, Mr.
Mel Robbins.
Even closer to home.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. I don't know.
You're like ringing in. Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
By gosh, which maybe I'll figure out how to tie all that in here shortly. So I had heard Mr. Jenkins talk about human needs because the way that Dewey, when I call him Dewey, I just feel like I'm speaking about him like he's like we're pals. But when he would talk about human needs or human nature, he would talk about how people don't change that much, right? All of us, we don't change that much because the needs that we have remain constant. And they probably have, I didn't see anywhere any statistics on this, but my guess is that from literally the beginning of time, humans have needed the same things or types of things.
Yeah.
So I feel like I heard Tony say this. I've heard Dewey talk about it. And then obviously from a teaching aspect, this is kind of getting sciencey, but Maslow, when you talk about kids and teaching kids, which is what I did prior to being here, you talk about the hierarchy of needs. Like kids can't worry about what you're teaching them about multiplying if they haven't eaten.
Right.
Or if they haven't slept in days or that type of thing. So you have to take care of those basic needs first before they can then engage with you. So I thought about, since this kind of sparked this when I was listening to the podcast, and I think we've alluded it to on here, it would be something worth us jumping into a little bit further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first time I'd even heard about these in the very first place was with Tony Robbins. He talked about them, and I think if I remember from what he was teaching before, like the first 4 are pretty common, and then typically the final 2 we typically have one more than the other. And so I thought this was really interesting because I just love learning about like psychology and like how people are. And so the human needs, it made perfect sense that certain people are motivated by certain things, and it's not always the same for everybody. I think about in a workplace, you have people that are motivated by money or prestige, like maybe a certain title or a sense that they've made it, and that looks different for everybody. But I just thought it was like, all right, if you pay people enough money, they'll do it.
Right.
Or they get a role and they're like, they cool. But it's a lot different. Like everybody, maybe there's a certain role that somebody wants, but it's not for the reason that you think. Or if it's money, it's not necessarily, some people don't spend none of it. It's like, I need to have this amount, or some people are like, I need to buy this stuff. So it looks different for everybody, but he really broke it down into much different terms. And so how this can really help everybody is if you're a manager out there, a supervisor, maybe you run a team, or even you just work with people or want to understand your kids or your family better, it makes so much more sense why people are motivated to do stuff, because everybody is, but it looks different for everybody. And so Tony, when he first talked about this stuff, it was really fascinating to me. And then actually, I've heard of Maslow's before, but then SDT, not STD, was something that I came across this time as I researched, and so that one I was pretty blown away. But even the 6 with Tony Robbins, they're really fascinating. So you want to jump into those?
Yeah.
Okay. Which one of those? So there's 6. Let's list them. Which one? I'd be curious to see which one you were like, oh, that's me, 100%. Maybe the crowd can guess, even though they can't tell us right now. So number 1, certainty. So the need for safety, stability, predictability, stability. Number 2, variety or uncertainty. So the opposite. So the need for change and excitement. I know some of them fools. They're like chaos. Number 3 would be significance, feeling unique and important. Number 4 is connection and love, deep relationships and belonging. Number 5 would be growth, progress, and development. And then 6 is contribution, which is giving back, leaving a legacy. I feel like I know. So they say that of the first 4, certainty, uncertainty, significance, and then connection and love, usually we have like 2 of those. And then the 5 and the 6, I know that we can have varying degrees of those, but usually it's one of those that stands out the most for people. So certainty.
Yes.
And then connection and love, I would say.
Oh my gosh. So I knew you were going to ask me this because I was going to ask you if you didn't ask me because I heard them do this on the Tony Robbins when he was on with Diary of a CEO. I think his name is Steven. Is that right? Steven Bartlett. So they had this kind of conversation and almost exactly what you're asking me now, which I loved how he framed this. Tony is almost like he was coaching him in the moment. And so he said, not what you want, but looking at honestly how you've lived, what have your top 2 needs actually been?
Okay.
So not what you want them to be, or not what do you think they've actually been? And so I put mine in order. And my first 2 were certainty and love and connection. When you go onto Tony's website, and I'll link that in the show notes, he even says, like under each one, if you do these things, you likely prioritize this need. And so those 2, I think, really, those 2 kind of described me to it. The certainty, of course. Yeah. I think that we know. To me, that ties directly to my 99S, of course. I like things to be stable. I like them to be predictable. I don't like a lot of change, that type of thing. And I wrote down one of the things he says about certainty is the assurance you can avoid pain and gain pleasure. But for me, I think a lot of times it's avoiding pain. If I know what to expect and I have a good plan, then I'm good. So let me just, before I ask you the next question, what do you think your top 2 have actually been?
What do you think?
I, 1 significance.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard between. I'm kind of stuck between growth and contribution.
What about the top 4?
Oh, just top 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to ask you for the last 2, the growth and contribution, because usually those pop up. Those are usually it's one of the 2 stands out more than the other. So
yeah.
If I remember how we broke it down, it was the top 4, and then you had the bottom 2.
Yeah.
And so they were linked
I
together.
had written down here: top 4 shape our personality.
Yep.
Certainty, variety, significance, love, and connection.
Mm-hmm.
Last 2 shape our spiritual needs, like as how we want to move forward. Not spiritual and religious, but just spiritual and is what we believe in as far as why we're here on this earth.
Like yours would be contribution.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so significance and I think love and connection.
That's what I'm talking about, dog. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah.
Okay, so then my next question, because this is his next question. Okay, so yours was significance and love and connection. Mine was certainty and love and connection. What's the downside of having those needs at the top? What has it cost you?
That's a good one. So I will say starting with significance, or at least that one stands out to me because so we actually, me and Julio Flores, old Julio, I was talking mad smack to him last night. I was at the gym. I said, let's go, son. And it actually ties to this. We did a study in a book, and it talks about, again, human needs as well. And one of them was significance, and it was power was another one. And I said, you can start to pick out those people depending on how they act and behave, and start to see like, okay, this is a need for them. And I said, there's cues that you'll see, like, you'll see a guy at the gym and he's wearing an MMA shirt, or they're wearing really tight clothes or whatever. And it's like, I need to be seen as important. And then he laughed and I said, what? And he's like, well, I do wear an MMA shirt at the gym. And then he looks at me and he's like your shirt hadn't breathed in days. And I just started laughing. I said, there you go. But significance, that feeling of being important. Like, I know that earlier for me, it was really challenging, like to feel like you were important. Like as you're growing up, you got to find your place in the rat race. And so as I've got older, it still is a need for me. And so that significance, like I sacrifice a lot to make sure that need is fulfilled for me. And so, sometimes it's sleep, sometimes it's peace. Sometimes, like feeling significant. I know for me, like working out brings me a lot of peace, but also robs some peace at the same time. So, I don't know. There's always that drive all the time, like that I gotta be better. Like I gotta push harder. So it sacrifices a lot of peace where I'm cool with where I'm at right now. Like there's never, I'll sometimes text people like, my friend Sam, I'll text and be like, hitting the gym, trying to get huge. It'll be something like that. And it's funny because when are you ever huge?
Right.
What point did you ever get there? And so in a good way, it's like, it's the progress. Like I'm in the process, which is a good place to be. Not I've arrived, but you never reach exactly where you want to be. And so for significance, that's one piece of it. And the other is like making sure, which does tie to, the other two, like contribution, is like I want to help people. And I think that's where the beautiful blend with connection even pops up too, is I like helping people, and I feel like I'm contributing to people's lives. Like even if this podcast, I know that's a big drive for both of us, is like we just want to give back and help. And so if one thing that we talk about today helps somebody, like that's a win for me.
Yep.
And so I would say I sacrifice, especially for significances. There's a lot of peace that's sacrificed because it's always there. Like that need to feel important.
Yeah. I think, and that's the last question he asked him. What do you want your top 2 needs to be for the next season of your life? And I think that's what you're talking about right now, is the contribution piece. I don't know what you would choose your other one to be. Maybe it's still love and connection. Yeah,
I mean, does that change who we are? If you say significance and connection are my top two. And then it's like, bleep that. I'm going to go for certainty and uncertainty, or I'm going to go for certainty and variety, which those are kind of opposite. But, I want a lot of change in my life, and maybe it is connection or something like that. Lots of change, lots of connection. And then you sound like some person that just travels the world with $5 in your pocket. Like, what's his face from Titanic? I'm like, I don't know what that, Jack. How could I forget his name? But yeah, like, I don't know what that looks like, but does that change who we are for the better?
I think it could change maybe your decision. I think if you are reflective enough, gosh, if we've said reflection on here one time, we've said it a million. I think if you're reflective enough to know that up until this point, significance in your case, probably certainty in my case, has driven a lot of my life's decisions, that like for me, part of this certainty piece, like if I go back to what does it cost you? I mean, the certainty piece, of course, has cost me being able to experience new things and grow my own confidence and, that kind of thing. So part of me thinks that would I be able to contribute more if I could step away from my need for certainty and make some more decisions through the lens of contribution, if that makes sense. So I think that's how it could help people, is if you are listening now and you're like, what would my top two be? Or what has my life showed me that my top two are? And then if you could think of what do I want it to be for my next season of my life, then maybe you could make some decisions. I'm not like, there's no way tomorrow I'm going to be like, no, like just.
I'm going to take a different route to work today.
Just like throw me a new challenge just for this. I don't think that's going to change, like what you're saying, drastically a piece about me.
Well, something for you that I'm extremely proud of is even starting this podcast, because going from our very first episode, y'all go back, listen to number one, and then listen to them all. But like even number one, sitting in my office in the dark and just doing it, like it was change. It was very uncertain what that was going to be like. And there was a lot of moments where you're like, I just don't know. And then you did it anyway. And then now today you're more spicy, like you are willing to just move and groove, even though I tell you every time I'm leaning on you for every podcast because I'm unprepared, even though it's a lie. But I don't know, like that's changed who you are stepping into that. But yeah, I think it's maybe unreasonable to say someone that needs certainty to go completely the opposite way. Because you talk about balance in life, it's like, this is not what I want. I came across something, because I know we're going to talk about SDT here in a little bit, but they said that Tony Robbins, his needs are what humans chase. And then they said with SDT, it explains the conditions under which chasing anything is sustainable. So, because I was really curious the difference between those two, because you have Tony, you got Maslow's hierarchy, which goes back to like, you have to have that baseline of food, shelter, safety before you even think about like transcendence.
Right.
And then the SDT was 3 areas, but even that one, it's like how you can do things, but how are they sustainable? So with the Tony Robbins piece, it's what we're chasing all the time. Or at least this individual was talking about it. It's what we're chasing. So if it's certainty and connection and love, then a lot of stuff shows up like that. But is it sustainable? Because maybe there are sacrifices that are made that are counterintuitive for you, that you're sacrificing and it's not sustainable. I was even doing research and looking at like parenting. Connection and love is there just by sheer parenting. You have to.
Right.
But daggum, how many days are you like, I can't do this forever? Like, this is not sustainable. There's some nights I'm just like, I am going to be a bad parent if my child asks me one more question right now. I'm going to lose my mind. I don't know how many times I'm venting, y'all. Like sometimes like Jack, I'll just get done. I'll have shoveled the last fork into my mouth for dinner. Daddy, do you want to play catch? And I'm like, it is 7:45. Bedtime, mind you, is 8:30. And I just got home from work. I just want to watch my show, or I just want to wind down a little bit. He asked the other day to play Legos, and it was in that moment. And Susie's sitting there, and I'm just like, golly. And I said, I mean, not really, buddy. And then Susie goes, ooh, like, and then he just looks at me, and I was like, and then he brings his Lego over anyway. And so we were playing with it. And I was like, if I'd known we could have just done it here on the couch, it'd been cool. I just thought we were going upstairs and we were going to be building something for 45 minutes. But,
which is interesting because even that, like if we even look at Jack's needs in that moment, there's a need for connection, right? There's a need for something there.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting to think about with our kids. You know, where are some of even the behaviors that we might see in our kids? They're often driven by a need that is not being in our kids. Let's just say in everybody. If we see behaviors in people and we think, why on earth would they do that? Like, why do we think gangs exist? Because people...
Because you got to get that money.
Well, maybe that goes back to significance. But there's something about feeling like you're connected to a part of a group. And so if kids or anybody is not feeling that sense of love and connection, then, and that was something that I thought was interesting about this too, is like the needs don't change, how we fulfill them does. And so, you know, luckily for our kids, you know, we're coming from a place where there is love, where there is connection, but not everybody else gets to experience that.
Right.
And so they find ways to connect and to feel love and to feel significant in other ways. So, because I think sometimes we look at kids, you know, we look at particularly younger kids, and we don't even sometimes I feel like we don't even see them as little humans. It's just like, because sometimes we're just in the throes of it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about that. But they are little humans with the exact same little human needs that we have. To feel important and to feel seen and to feel connected. And so I think it's even interesting to think, you know, when he's asking you that, is like, is he feeling the need to be connected? I think that's interesting to even think about.
Yeah. If he could be attached physically,
he would.
To either one of us, he would. Between him and Charlie, which is just hilarious between the two of them. Jack is definitely the affectionate one, and then Charlie, not so much. Susie is not as affectionate as I am, but what's interesting is me and Charlie are very similar, and her and Jack are very similar in other ways. So me and Charlie, both of them are very athletic kids, but she's more like maybe not a loner, but like she's okay doing her own thing, and that's how I was when I was a kid, as a single child, only child. And then, as you said this, I started thinking, Jack likes the uncertainty and the change. Like, he's always getting into something new. And I mean, maybe it's a boy thing or whatever, but he starts something, he don't finish it. Like, there's crap everywhere. But Charlie can sit over there. She has those little not bedazzled. It's like the sheets of paper with the sticky film that you peel off, and then you take your little thing and you put your dots, and it's like Meredith. Millions. And she just one at a time. She'll watch a show, change colors, and she'll just do little dots. It's one at a time. I'm like, bro, I would lose my mind. But she can sit there and complete chill and all that. But she's not as affectionate. Like, I'll come up and give her a kiss or a hug or whatever. But it's funny, like, he's the opposite, where he's like all over you all the time. Like, I'll just be sitting there doing something, and then he'll just come and like hang over my shoulders. I'm, what's up, dude? And he's like, I love you, Daddy. I'm like, I love you too. Charlie don't say that a whole lot. Like, she'll say it sometimes, like when it's bedtime, but he's like all day, I love you, Daddy. I'm like, you bored? Because sometimes he'll just come up, I love you, Daddy. And I'm like, you're bored, aren't you? He goes, a little bit. And I'm like, all right, I love you too, bud. As long as we're on the same page.
Yeah, I do think it's just interesting to think that, and even if we see behaviors in the people we like here at work, or even with customers, you know, sometimes you might get into a customer's home, and I think about these sweet people that we go into their homes, and I guess I say because they're there, although I would probably prefer this most days, like they just live by themselves.
Right.
And I guess I feel sad for them in some ways that there is, and then so we come into their homes to help them, and then it's like all of a sudden you
getting it all.
You getting it all.
Yeah.
You getting the whole life story, and
Yep.
and it really does come from people just wanting to feel connected.
Right.
People want people.
Yep.
Even if you are the most introverted, I like to recharge my batteries by myself. I don't necessarily love to be with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I still do really value connecting with other people.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people to understand those two things are separate. How I recharge my batteries doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I still desire and want and need deep connections with other people.
Well, that kind of ties into the sustainability piece is certain aspects of that. You will get your need met, but it can't be like, it can't be constant. You do recharge by yourself. And so it's like, I still have that need, but it may not look the same. It won't look the same for you as if for somebody like Kevin. Kevin will look a little bit different.
Yes.
So I was thinking as I was working through this, how does this even connect to a customer? So for our techs out there, knowing that every person out there has a need and I need to meet that in some form or fashion. So even with those, like you have certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, and connection. So just with those four, most people need some form of connection, but it may not be as strong as maybe significance or the variety. So I know when people are making decisions with their house, like maybe they need a new air conditioner or whatever, maybe the color actually matters to them, or what it's going to look like, or where it is versus I need to have the nice new thing, or I want to be the one that has the most high-tech thing out there above anyone else on the street. Like I want to be that guy, or I just want the bare minimum. So that's kind of how they make decisions. But the needs piece, how am I truly connecting with this person?
Yep.
Going to looking at the other side, maybe it's not the flip of the coin, but just like a different coin with SDT, self-determination theory. They were saying this is the science of psychological needs. And it's kind of the same thing as what Tony's talking about, but this really hits the sustainability piece. All of this stuff that we just talked about is what we're driving for, but the sustainability is what the SDT is. And the three, I know you came across this too, autonomy, which is freedom and agency over one's actions, which is options really. Competence, which is mastering challenges, feeling effective, and then relatedness, which is deep social connection and belonging. So with these three things, this is the sustainability piece. Autonomy. If you're presenting options to a customer and you pick the one that they should pick for them, that is not autonomy. No. And you should never do that. You will more than likely pick the wrong thing. But who doesn't want to have autonomy? I remember David told me a long time ago, he's like, when you're presenting options to somebody, it should be wholeheartedly their choice. You know what probably is the better one only because you have more experience than them. But of course, they should be the one that picks which option it is. And really the only guidance should be is just like, hey, this is what most people go for, but this is your house and I need to really know what you want out of this. Like, are you going to be here for the next 15, 20 years? Or are you going to be here for a year? And the price really matters at that point because you buy the nicest one, you ain't going to get all the fun out of it. Yeah. So the autonomy piece, especially, everyone needs freedom. And so what that looks like may be different for everyone, but I'm just thinking from a tech perspective, how can I make sure I hit that human need, autonomy? If you're presenting options or when you're presenting options to somebody, it should be, this is wholeheartedly your choice. I'm just here as an advisor for you. And let me just spend a little time educating you and then hopefully educate you enough so you can make an informed decision today and let them pick and choose. And so that's just one piece from a technician's perspective that we talk about all the time, present options, let the customers pick and choose what they want. But I don't know that everybody recognizes that it's actually a human need to have options and make sure that you can determine your own destiny, not be chosen for. Because that's when you get rebellion or resistance where people push back. This is your only option.
Yeah, I was actually, as you were just talking about that, I was kind of connecting this and thinking about to how this connects with First Break All the Rules and recognizing people have talents and letting them use those talents.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, let's take a plumbing install team, for example. We absolutely could send them out to a job and say, these are the steps you must follow. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do it this way. Like we could do that. Certainly we have our standards that we set for people when they go out into the field. But at the end of the day, we hire the best people and then we trust them to go out and use their talents and their expertise and their knowledge and their skills to complete the job in the way that they know how. There's nobody standing over them saying, nope, not like that. Nope, do it this way. I'll show you, right? Because then there would be no autonomy.
Right.
There would be no choosing on their behalf of how to navigate. It's no different than us in the training. We're taught the best ways to go about doing that. That would be training mastery, right? Learning how to keep people engaged and how to get content across. But the way that I prepare and get ready for teaching something is different than the way you prepare and get ready for teaching something.
Right.
We don't look like robots when we get up there in front of people because I've planned and prepared in the way that I chose. Within parameters, but still I got to choose it.
Right.
So I think that ties directly to, we know that we get the best out of people when we can give them the standards, the parameters, the outcomes, the guidelines, and then we let them go do it in the way that works best for them. So when people get that autonomy and they get to choose, they're more engaged in their work, they're more productive in their work. That's why I think that's important, is because I don't know that I necessarily tied those two together until right now.
Yeah.
But that if that's a human need, then everybody who works here is needing or wanting to be able to choose in some capacity how they go about their work. If everybody came and had to follow the exact same steps every day to do everything, then I think that there would be people who are not very happy with that.
Yeah. And actually, I know we might have said this earlier, but I just made a connection too, is if the needs aren't being met, like especially just focusing on autonomy, if I don't just say, here's the end game goal, I want you to figure out how to get there, and still be there to guide a little bit so they don't get outside the rails, but hey, go figure it out. If you tell them what they need to do, and autonomy, it is a human need, they're not getting it with you, they'll find a way to find their autonomy, which that's where the rebellion or the pushback or the complications come up, because it's like, this is what I need. Yep. And you're not giving it to me, so I'll find a way to get it. And sometimes that means breaking the rules, or like people might be living in the gray because it's something that they need. Yeah.
I think that that goes back to the gang analogy. The need doesn't change. How we meet the need could be positive or negative.
Right.
So we either are allowed to flourish in the way that we do it best, or we, weave our way in and out of the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because either way, you're still going to be trying to meet the need.
Yeah.
It just might come, if we can facilitate a way to do it in the best way, then why not?
Something to think about with that is, it's not, I can't believe they did that. There's a reason why they did.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to always figure that out. You can always just, I can't believe they did that. That's ridiculous. There's an exact reason why they did it. And oftentimes you don't know. That's why you don't have the answer. So you can ask. I mean, it might be uncomfortable, but it's like, dang, why did you do that?
Yep. Help me understand.
How many times have your kids done something and then you're like, why did you do that? I don't know. Like, there's an answer.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. Sometimes our children are brain dead, but at the same time, there's a reason why you did that. If sometimes it's just, I said chaos earlier, sometimes it's just chaos. I remember when I was a kid, I don't think I've told you this story. I was at my grandparents' house, and we had like it's pea gravel, like the little tiny gravel. So my grandpa had an old car sitting out there. It was an old jalopy. It's just sitting there underneath the tree collecting all manner of crap. And he never drove it. And so I'd go out there and play in the yard and do whatever. And it's just me, little old Rob by himself. And one day I picked up rocks and I started throwing them at the tree. And it went from the tree to the tire tire to the window. And then I picked up a whole handful and threw it at the car, and I shattered the side window. And immediately when the rocks left my hand, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And it shattered the window. And I just remember being like, what story am I going to make up of how this thing shattered? And I came and I told my grandpa, and he's like, why did you do that? And I still remember vividly today. I don't know. But it was just like, I mean, maybe I don't know what it is today, but like sometimes you do stuff and you're like, I don't know why I did that, but there was something that motivated you to. If it's the autonomy, the chaos, variety.
You needed change, new stimulus.
Bored out of my mind. But it's like sometimes it even comes from that part of your brain where you're not like thinking like, okay, I need to do something right now because I do not have the variety that I need right now. I think if we can get in touch with where do these feelings come from, then we stop just behaving based off of emotion, which I know is a huge driver for behavior, but I understand this need that I have right now, and I need to find time to do that.
Yep.
Recognizing we have these needs as people, but also we go back to the parenting analogy. I mean, daggum, sometimes that like I just need my own space right now. And so when I come home at the end of the day, I need my 30 minutes of just like, I just need to unwind because this is a need that I have. But when that uncertainty of the kids run up or you come to work and it's just chaos all day, so maybe you need to drive time hard. Like these are my hard 30 minutes after lunch. I'm going to take a walk, or like for my lunch, I'm going to take a walk because I can control that time.
Yep.
So I think that's where you get smart about, I know I have a need and I know I need to meet that need. And so I need to find a way. I need to carve out a way instead of just letting the day occur, just letting it happen. So I think being smart with knowing that autonomy, competence, and relatedness is needs, which the relatedness piece, the deep social connection and belonging, we all have that in some form, varying amounts. There's people here that are high in that, and then others that like I've been growled at in the halls. But even though they growl at you in the halls, they still need it.
Yes.
You know, it just looks different. I think about altruism. We talk about that in the DISC class. And I say, if you're high altruistic, you love people, you have a big bubble, let people in, a lot of people. And then low altruistic, I always make a joke. I always say it means you hate people, because there'll be techs standing in the back of the room. I'm like, stay away from them. But it's really, my bubble is small. So the people that are in my bubble, I love hard. It's just, there's not much room in there, but these are my people. So the relatedness piece, it has to happen. It is a need that we have. We're social creatures. We have to have it. But again, it makes things look different. And I think about going back to the techs, you show up to a customer's house and you make it transactional. I'm here to fix your air conditioner. Where's it at?
Where's it at?
Where's your thermostat? Yeah. Robot. And then, all right, here's your options. I can fix it for you. And you don't, I wrote down, make a friend. Alan said on the Wisdom of Wrench podcast, he's like, go out there and you need to make a friend. Just go out there and make a friend. And I got to actually ride with Chase Patterson last Friday for a whole day. I love that dude. I told Dave when I came back, I was like, you got to pass the beer test. Like, I can sit down with this person. These are my people. I can sit down with you. I can have a beer with you. You're my people. And I've known Chase for a long time. He's been here 1 year longer than me. And we were just talking all day about stuff, and he does such a good job walking in. Hey, how's it going? I'm just here to help. What's going on? And he would just talk to the customer, ask really good questions. Ask them what they wanted. Where do you think this, we'd had all those generator calls this past week. Oh, yeah. Hey, where'd you envision this thing sitting at your house? And the customer would walk him over there, even though he knows good and well, it's not going to go there.
Yeah.
He'd ask them. And it was funny as I was researching all this stuff, all the connections happened. And I understood why he asked them that, but he ends up walking over there and he's like, yeah, I'd like it here, but I'd feel like, I don't know if it can go here. And Chase is like, well, let me take a look. And then he's like, well, it needs to be about 5 feet from the property line. So what do you think? He's like, yeah, it's probably not. And he's like, maybe we should check the other side. Yeah, I had another spot in mind. He walks over and he goes, now this is a good spot. I could probably put it here. What do you think? And it's just always that. And it goes right back to autonomy. It's their choice. If he would have just said, yeah, let me take you where we can put it. Now it's not, even though that's where it would have been anyway. That autonomy is not there. And so the relatedness man, he does such a good job of that. It's pretty impressive to watch.
I think really thinking about, so Chase has been to my house before.
Good old Chase.
So we got the pleasure of working with him. And so I think like the 3 words that obviously had autonomy, competence, and relatedness, but the words out beside it were, I choose, I'm capable, I belong. So like I choose, we've already talked about that. And I think in the situation with Chase is like, he keeps that in the forefront of his mind, is like letting the customer feel as if they have a choice, and they do have a choice in a lot of different things. I think also I'm capable, no different than like giving the customer information. We talk about educating the customer and making sure they know exactly what their options are and what they mean, so that they feel capable of actually making the choice.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I belong. Chase may be I would 100% say that is one of his talents.
Yeah.
There's just a natural genuineness about him that just makes him feel like a friend.
Yeah.
And so I think that I belong piece, you start to kind of build that rapport, but you can see how like just a few minor interactions between, if it's a customer, if it's a tech, if it's somebody here at work, it doesn't matter. Just a few questions, a few interactions, you immediately can put people in a place where they feel like those needs are being met.
Yeah.
And you're going to get such a different outcome from that conversation and that interaction than if you came into it guns a-blazing, having your own needs take precedence over the other person's needs.
For sure.
Which I think is another reason why it's important to understand what yours are, because sometimes we can push ours. Like for me, since certainty is a big one for me, sometimes when we're, sitting at a table kind of making decisions, I kind of feel a little bit paralyzed.
Yeah.
Like, what? And so sometimes then I even kind of feel almost like I want to push back and say, why would we do something different? I almost kind of feel like I want to, if somebody would allow me to feel like I had the autonomy to choose and that I'm capable of choosing, then maybe I would feel different about the uncertainty.
Right.
But when it's kind of like, this is what we're doing, and it's kind of like, then I sort of feel a little bit shaken about that.
Right.
So I think it's also important to think of, when are you imposing perhaps your needs on top of somebody else's?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I love about especially SDT, self-determination theory, is that it so closely relates to our fundamentals here. Identifying what someone's talent is, determine what the end game goal is. You're not telling them this process. It's like, here's what it needs to be. But the autonomy piece, I chose this. So the autonomy is, you literally are getting to make the choices here. Here's the rules. Like, here's the parameters we have to be in, but this is what it should look like at the end. The autonomy to pick and choose and find their own path. I really like the competence piece, because especially from a management standpoint, everybody out there is like, if they have that sense that they're getting better, and you can frame that like, this is going to make you, we're building bench strength by you being able to work through this project and figure things out on your own. And really making sure that you're telling them and showing them, here is how this is going to set you up for success in the future. Here is how you're making yourself more valuable. I had a gentleman pop in my office the other day, and things have been challenging for him lately. And I said, man, there's a lot of things that you can solve by making yourself more valuable. It's not like, just pay me more. It's, how do I increase my value? If you increase value, your value in the marketplace is directly tied to how much money you will make. But I said, if you want to get better, you need to make yourself more valuable. What do you need to learn? What skills do you need to find? What actions do you need to take? What things do you need to get rid of? And just thinking about being a tech here. If you want to be valuable, you got to learn some trash. Like, you got to learn some skills, man. Yeah. Are you volunteering for your level up classes? Like, you're saying, yeah, I want to go learn some stuff. Are you, every time that a supervisor is like, hey, I'm going to go in the lab and I'm going to work on blank, are you the first person that's in there like, okay, this is going to make me better? Or you're like, yeah, I'm too tired. You say that too many times. It's okay to be like, yeah, today's not the day. Yeah. Not today, Satan. Like, I get that, but you can't be doing that every time.
No.
You have to truly figure out what is those values, but I'm getting better. If someone feels like they're getting better every single day and they're increasing their value, it is what creates sustainability. So it's like the end game goal might be challenging, but I'm getting better. It's the process again to get there. Going back to customers, what's cool with the tech spending time educating the customer on how their equipment works. Again, going back to the generator calls, you don't just be like, yo, you need a generator. You wanted a generator? I got a generator. I don't have it on the back of my truck, but I got it at the shop. Let's go. But they're like, okay, well, what brands do you have? And then you're like, well, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, there's really one good one. They're like, I don't know if I want that one. I want this one. Well, if you would have educated them earlier about here's the 3 brands that you see. Mm-hmm. This one here is really for commercial properties. This one here is a little bit closer. Like they really do a good job on the rolling generators. And we've got those, but they specialize in that. When they look at the ones that we're installing, they're maybe not so good. This brand right here is the best brand for your house and what you need. And so explaining that ahead of time and saying you can choose those, but this one is the really one that's designed for your house. You don't have to deal with that. And you're educating them and the person's getting a need met all at the same time. So presenting options for the autonomy piece, the competence piece, educating them. Now they feel like, okay, I'm more well-informed now. And then going back to what Chase already does a good job of, making that connection with somebody. It's like, I got a friend, educate me right now, and they're giving me some choices. You meet all those at the same time at a customer's house, and like, it just makes the experience so much better.
Yeah.
That's just from a tech perspective.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm thinking even from, if we have a manager who brings somebody into their office, and then it's the same type of thing. I feel like it's, you work on that connection, that relationship, that trust, and then you give you show them that they are capable, and then you let them have choice. Even if you said, help me understand, even if something went wrong on a job, I still feel like we can meet people's needs when we're having to even hold people accountable. It's like there's a way to go about kind of prioritizing the needs of people without feeling like you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish. Yeah. And so I think that is just understanding. It's to me no different than how we don't look at our kids sometimes as, little humans. Sometimes I think it's easy in the day-to-day for us to look at other people around us and think, oh, they just must do everything exactly like I do, and recognizing that that's not the case at all. Mm-mm. That everybody walking into your office, everybody you meet in the hallway, they have different needs prioritized. They're behaving on behalf of those needs. It just is, to me, it goes back to, and I say this every time I talk about conflict in the conflict class, is one of the biggest mistakes that I feel like I made up until I started working here was thinking that everybody looked at the world and saw the world the same way I do. Mm. I think I knew in the back of my mind that wasn't true, but now I think I know that couldn't be further from the truth. Mm. That the person sitting beside me they grew up differently than I did. They have different values. They have different perspectives. Just everything about their life has led up into this point about why they behave the way that they do, including these needs. There is likely a reason why certainty and love and connection are at the top of my list. Likely that came from, I know it came from my childhood. So I think that is, for me, one of the biggest things is looking at the person across from you and knowing that they are different. Looking at Jack and, looking at our kids and being like, they are this little human or a big human, and the way that they process things, the way that they look at things, the things that they have at the top of their needs list, they're not the same as mine.
Right.
And I think that is so critical in when we are having conflict, but just when we are trying to build relationships with people. Yeah. I just think this lends itself even more towards that, is getting to know, like the only reason I could choose the two for you today is because of how we know each other.
Yeah.
And I think we could do that with other people. We just have to invest the time into that relationship to be able to say, oh, well, and I knew that I could say significance to you and you wouldn't think anything about that, right? Just like you could say certainty to me and I wouldn't think anything about that. So I do think that is an important piece of this needs, is just to recognize, number one, what are yours? And maybe what might be the downside of those being yours. And then number two, what are the persons across from you? And you may not know them well enough to be able to say them the way that we did today, but I think it's still important to keep them.
You should get there eventually. Spend enough time with people.
And to take them into consideration. You know, it's like, I think, you know, yours is Jack asking to go play baseball. Mila's right now is, did you watch that Instagram reel I sent you? Of course I did. No, I'm just kidding.
I want to watch it with you.
And so she will come down and ask, I just sent you an Instagram reel. Did you watch it yet? Like, it's like to me. And so sometimes I'm like, no, I mean, I'm cooking dinner.
Remember, I deleted it. I said it on the podcast, so it's real.
So, but it's like, no, I'm cooking dinner. But then when I read this, I'm like, okay.
There's a need.
Yeah. It's like she's trying to connect. And normally what she sends me is like things where it's like it's like the daughter pretending to be the mom, which is hilarious because then I kind of see like, how does she see me? And so it's like she wants us to laugh together. So I just think it's in the moment when I'm making dinner that feels like, are you kidding me? No, I haven't watched an Instagram reel. But now that I look at this, I'm like, oh, that's this 15-year-old age version of I'm trying to connect with you. Is that the way I wish that she connected all the time? No.
It's fine as long as you're sitting on the couch and there's nothing else going on. Right. You're not literally making dinner for the family.
Yeah, I do wish, I mean, and obviously we do other things that are less technology driven.
Yeah.
But now I kind of look at that and see, I see now that that's her way of trying to fulfill that need.
For sure.
To connect.
Yeah. Well, I think I know this has been pretty eye-opening for both of us and hopefully for you guys out there. This really helped categorize the needs in my mind with the Tony Robbins piece. Like, this is what people chase all the time. It's almost like the destination. So knowing the people that you manage, the people that you work with, or you're in relationship with, it's really important to know what they're chasing all the time and the why behind it. And then the other piece with the SDT is the sustainability behind it. This really hit home for me, especially when I managed people prior, and then obviously now is if the needs of the person that you're working with are not met, they will find a way to meet those needs. And if it ain't with you, it'll be with somebody else. And that's why I think people leave a job or leave a relationship or stop doing what you need or expect them to.
Yep.
They will find a way to find that need. So for everybody out there that's managing people, it's absolutely crucial to know exactly what the needs are of your people so that you can make sure you're delivering that on a day-to-day basis, that growth, that connection, them feeling like they're going somewhere because they are, but maybe you have to lay it out to them so they can actually see it. That's our role.
Yep. Yeah, I think you alluded to this before. I guess if I could leave anything, it's people behave the way that they behave because of some reason. I think we are so quick to be like, they're lazy, they don't know how to do it. That's the easy way to explain people's behavior because it absolves us of having to do any kind of digging, any kind of relationship building, any kind of why is this happening? Well, I feel like this, along with a lot of the other things we've talked about, people are behaving in a certain way for most people. I would say even more than most. What's the word between most and all?
Mostess?
Most people want to do well. Should we say all people?
I think all people want to do well, but our expectation of well may look different.
Yeah. I think all people want to do well. And so if their behavior is contradictory of that, then we have to step back and we have to think why.
Why?
And I think instead of just labeling people or writing them off or whatever we want to do that's the easier route, then I think these needs that we've talked about today could give you at least a starting point of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because there's something more there that I think is worth exploring.
For sure.
Yep. I think you should explore them for yourself, and you need to explore them for your people.
Mm-hmm.
Even them little babies at home.
Them little humans.
That's right. That's right. They are little humans.
And buy them pink Crocs.
Yes, pink Crocs.
Y'all better believe I'm gonna start stepping my shoe game up in this piece.
I bet pink Crocs are on sale.
They probably are.
Right now.
They probably are.
Because everybody wears white Crocs now.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
No, why would he? I don't understand it either.
Charlie has those. Don't do that.
Yeah, no. Especially when she plays softball.
Nobody listens to me. My needs aren't being met, y'all.
Remember, he needs
nobody listening to me.
He needs significance. All right. Well, please do not forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. I also sent out a quick survey in our last podcast email, and I'll include it on this one as well. We are working on our plans for 2026. We want to make sure that the podcast keeps bringing you what you want. So please don't hesitate to jump in there and give us your feedback so that we know what we need to do going forward. We appreciate you guys listening. We will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, peace, love, and easy does it.
Hey, appreciate y'all.